The 2008 Olympics are in the fall of this year in Beijing, and now we are in April of 2008 and starting to see a lot of passionate protest.
I've always been fascinated by people fighting for a cause. I'm always thinking, why do they protest? Why do they do that now? How can they be so sure that it's a good fight? Do they really know the story? I would like to understand and to meet these guys and to know their personal motivation. The question is what's happening here? What do they do? Why do they fight?
This is one of those decisive moments.
It's 50 years of history of repression under the Chinese Communist government. This has resulted in many deaths, more than 1.2 million by now, of the 6 million Tibetans, and a lot of repression of religious freedom, freedom of speech. We are saying this is unjust, this is inhumane, and governments need to wake up to this.
There have been 6 rounds of talks so far, starting in 2002. They said that if you don't talk about independence, we'd like to talk to you. But there is no really substantive, meaningful thing coming out of those talks.
The International Olympic Committee has said many times that one of the main reasons they gave the Olympics to China was that they hoped the Games would be a force that would improve the human rights situation in Tibet. And specifically, China made some very particular contractual agreements, including that they would open up all of China, including Tibet, to journalists and international human rights observers, which of course they've done just the opposite. Our primary demand has been for the International Olympic Committee to cancel the torch run through Tibet. We realize that, San Francisco is known throughout the world as a city of conscience and a place where people care about justice and human rights. And for them to bring the torch here on its way to Tibet was a kind of opportunity that we just couldn't take lightly. And so we did the biggest thing we could think to do, which was scale the Golden Gate Bridge.
Once I started going and once I got out of reach with the banner, this sense of relaxation and purpose really just did come over me completely. At times I didn't feel like I was actually the one climbing the cables. It felt like I had this whole community behind me. Like my muscles weren't moving, my bones weren't moving.
We want to have them hear from the whole planet very clearly that the only way they're going to be accepted on the global stage in the modern world is if they improve their human rights.
I had a phone on me up there. I got a text message from someone in Paris saying that they were watching it live. And it just hit me in this incredible way, and just knew that that was what we needed to start changing this dialogue.
This is the first time in the 50 years that the scale of demonstration that you have seen in the last 2 to 3 weeks has taken place.
Everyone has a right to protest. It's just you have to be reasonable. When you talk to Chinese people around here, they'll tell you that they're not at all supporters of the Chinese government, but they're extremely proud of being Chinese descent. A lot of people are upset that some of the Western media keeps on giving the protesters front page attention and completely ignoring the supporters. Olympics are supposed to be an event to bring people together, not to divide them.
What will you do after the Olympics?
I like to go by His Holiness Dalai Lama's the middle way approach, which is not complete independence, but being a part of China, a meaningful autonomy for all provinces of Tibet, where you can preserve your culture, your identity, your language.
I think that there's, in a way, no turning back now. We've seen the top global leaders in the world come out and make statements and take stands.
Yes, they can have the Beijing Olympics, but what about the accountability of all the human rights abuses?
I feel completely lost, Giselle, at the end of the day, because I have my TV, my radio, my internet news, my newspaper, and I really don't know, because I understand both of them. I understand the Chinese because it's the biggest event that could happen after 60 years of communism, and I understand the Tibet people because what's happening there is not acceptable. And this takes place at the same time with this light on it, and we are all and we are all like passionate by that, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know.
So what do we do now?
So what do we do now? I just talk. I think the best thing is to talk, dialogue, communication, conversations, because if you don't do that, the big risk is just war. So let's talk.
People should differentiate between a country and their government. I think it's unfortunate that people that are protesting the Tibet issue, that their voice is being interpreted as a slap in the face to China or trying to cause them to lose face. That's unfortunate. You know, I like Chinese people and I just disagree with some government policies. And if anyone here asks me that, I'll tell them flat out. I think it's unfortunate that some people do that and they equate a government with their people.
What happens next? Well, I guess it's the Olympics. If any indication of the torch run, I fear Tiananmen Square again. Why? Because the world is watching.
You've got extreme emotions occurring on both sides. Are we surprised that it is happening? You've got people protesting, you know, anti-China remarks. You've got people in China reacting to that, and both parties are kind of joining in this temporary downward spiral that's leading to August 8th. My take on it is after the Olympics, people go back to business as usual. Life goes on.
I don't know where to come from in these issues. It's very complicated. Let us work out the answers and let us go around and find the information about it. Go out there and look and read up about these sort of things if you want to speak about it.